that if you recite it when the fire's flames overwhelm you, in other words, out of fear. Because there's people who go to the Quran out of fear. Rahbatan. There's people that go to the Quran out of raghba, out of desire. There's people that go to the Quran just to recite the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to have kalamullah ala al-sinatihim. I mean, there's different reasons you go. If you go because you're so afraid of the fire, the Qur'an's cool spring will put out the flames of that fire. In other words, it'll soothe you. You'll begin to lose that fear because you're reciting and seeing the bushra in the Qur'an. مَا أَنزَلْنَا الْقُرْآنَ عَلَيْكَ لِتَشْقَى. We didn't give you this Qur'an to be wretched in the next life, but لِتَسْعَدْ, in order to be blissful. That's why the Qur'an came. لِسَعَادَةَ الْبَشَرِ. It's for human beings' bliss. And this is the gift of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to His creation. So if you recite it out of fear that overwhelms you, the Qur'an will put out that fear. Just by reciting it, you'll lose that fear. And that's why Allah will never give ayat al-takhweef or tarheeb, except He either follows or precedes it with ayat al-targheeb. Always when Allah mentions fire, you look in the Qur'an, He follows it, mentions paradise. Or He mentioned paradise, He follows it, mentions fire. Fear and hope. وَلَا بُدَّ مِن نَعْلَيْ خَوْفٍ مَعَ الرَّجَى. You have to have the two sandals of fear and hope. That's what you walk on. And I was with somebody who's very close to death. You know, I mentioned the akhirah, and they really began to weep and mentioned that how afraid they were of Allah. And I said, you have to forget all fear. And that's the sunnah. When you're in the what's called ihtidar, when you're close to death, you forget about fear. And you have a good opinion of your Lord. Fear is only applicable when you are in the world and have the ability to disobey Allah. Once you're incapacitated in your bed and you've made your tawbah, you should have no more fear. Because the ulama say that tawbah should be with jazm al-qabul, that you should believe absolutely that Allah accepts. Because Wahshi, when he went to become Muslim, he killed Hamza, Asadullah, Sayyid al-Shuhada. This is the man that killed Hamza. When he went to the Prophet ﷺ, he thought that he would never have a tawbah accepted. This is Wahshi, the man who killed one of the closest human beings to the best of creation, and the Sayyid al-Shuhada. This is his state. He thinks, how could I ever get tawbah when I killed Hamza, Asadullah wa Asadu Rasulihi? What did Allah say? قُلْ يَا عِبَادِيَ الَّذِينَ أَسْرَفُوا عَلَى أَنفُسِهِمْ لَا تَقْنَطُوا مِنْ رَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ. O my servants who have done grave wrongs, don't despair of the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah forgives all the wrong actions. This, the ulama said, أرجى آية في كتاب الله سبحانه وتعالى لأهل الكبائر. This is the most hopeful verse in the entire Quran for the people of major wrong actions. And that's why if you're close to death, then you leave your fear and you go into a state of total hope and just believe that Allah is going to forgive you. Don't have a bad opinion of your Lord. أنا عند ظن عبدي بي. I am in the opinion of my servant. I am in the opinion of my servant. And we believe our Lord is a merciful Lord. He just وَصَفَ نَفْسُهُ وَكَتَبَ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ الرَّحْمَةِ. He has prescribed for Himself. He's made it an obligation to show mercy on Himself. He's not obligated to do anything. And yet He has prescribed for Himself mercy. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. And that's why one of the ulama, he never mentioned the hell in any dars he ever gave. And when he died, one of his companions saw him and he said, ماذا فعل الله بك? What did Allah do to you? He said, أوقفني عنده وقال لماذا لم تذكر ناري لعبادي. He brought me in His presence. He said, why didn't you ever scare my servants with mention of the fire? He said, Ya Allah, أردت أن يحبونك. I wanted them to love you. And He said, لقد غفرت لكم. I forgive you. And this is time of maghfirah, itq min an-nar. The heart should be open to the rahmah of Allah. Don't close the heart to the rahmah of Allah. Be open to the rahmah. Whatever you've done wrong, just trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your wrong actions did not diminish His kingdom one iota. And your good actions don't add to His dominion one iota. Don't give yourself so much importance that anything you've done is of that much importance. Those things, if you turn to Allah sincerely in tawbah, Allahumma aghfir li dhunubi. Oh Allah, forgive my wrong actions. Hassan al-Basri was asked about a man, يذنب فيتوب فيذنب فيتوب 70 مرة في النهار. He does wrong, then he makes tawbah, he does wrong, then he makes tawbah 70 times in a day. He said, ليس إلا من أخلاق المؤمنين. That's the characteristic of a believer. I mean, it's the one who never thinks about it that's in the big trouble. And then there's people that are mubtalayat. They have big tribulations. I mean, I was sitting with somebody the other day and he said to me, a mu'min will never do anything wrong on purpose. Well, what do you mean he won't do anything wrong on purpose? We're angels? Malaika? No, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says those who do wrongs out of jahalatin, out of ignorance. Jahala there doesn't mean ghayr amd. Look in the tafsir. When Allah says that those who have done wrongs out of ignorance, it doesn't mean that they didn't do it intentionally. أجمعت الصحابة رضي الله عنهم على أن هذا ليس بمعنى عدم العمد. I mean, that's ijma' of the Sahaba. That's not what that ayah means. People do wrong actions and you make tawbah. So this is a time of tawbah and renewal. And that's what he's saying. Put out the flames of the fire with the Quran. The Quran, Surah Al-Baqarah, actually will appear in the grave and protect the people that knew it. Surah Al-Mulk is called Surah Al-Munjiyah. The one that recites Mulk every night, Mulk will come into the grave and it will not allow any harm to come to you in your grave. That's a wa'd from the Prophet ﷺ. 30 آية تمنيت أن تكون في قلب كل مؤمن. There's 30 verses I wish was in the heart of every believer. تبارك الذي بيده. To recite that. And these are blessings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to this ummah. كأنها الحوض تبيض الوجوه به من العصاة وقد جاءه كالحمم. As if it were the pool of paradise. This Quran is like the hawd. As if it were the pool of paradise by which the char-black faces of the disobedient are cleansed and brightened. When you come to it with all your wrongs and it erases your wrongs. Tamhuha. It just removes them. And that's the power of karam Allah. It's the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Merciful. And this is something, the kareem and the karam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhal insan, ma gharraka bi rabbika al-kareem, alladhi khalaqak. What, oh you human being, ma gharraka bi rabbika al-kareem. What has deluded you about your generous Lord? What has made you think that you're independent of your Lord, who's been so generous to you? I mean, all the blessings that He's given you, the health that you have, and if you don't have health, that your illness is not worse than it is. The parents that you had, the wealth that you have, the provision you have, the clothes that you're wearing, the shelter from the rain, from the cold. All of these things, human beings don't reflect on the ni'am of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When ta'iddu ni'matullahi la tuhsuha. If you would only just begin to enumerate the blessings of Allah, you couldn't count them all. وَمَا بِكُم مِّن نِعْمَةٍ فَمِنَ اللَّهِ. And you have no blessing except it's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I mean, this is مَا غَرَّكُم بِرَبِّكَ الْكَرِيمِ. What has deluded you? What has taken you away from this generous Lord of yours? It's not reflecting. It's not thinking. It's not spending time thinking about these things. People, when you hear people complain, you have to wonder why they're complaining. And the people, some of the people that have more to complain about than anybody else, they have no complaints. And so you see it's a state and a condition that the human being is in. There are people that, wallahi, they have things to complain about, and yet they don't complain. And then there's people that you look at them, you say, he's got nothing to complain about, and all he does is complain. And so you realize it's a state of the heart. Shakwa is a type of ingratitude. Complaining is an ingratitude. Whining. It's what children do. They whine because they're immature. They have no knowledge. What are you always telling your children? reminding them of all the blessings they have. This is what children are supposed to remind. Look at all that your mother does for you. You have to remind a child, because a child can be rude to the mother, not forgetting all the things. What about your Lord? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Who's keeping your temperature at 98.6 in your body right now? And if you have a fever, who's preventing it from going to a point where you go into febrile convulsions or die? I mean, even you go outside in the cold and your internal temperature is maintained. And there's mechanisms to do that. And then if you're exposed to things, there's white blood cells that begin to be activated. Who activates them? They say nature. But what is nature? Well, what are you describing? You're describing some force out there that has intelligence, that has specificity, that has determination. I mean, that's what we call Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have your name, we have our name. And then it becomes, do we owe that nature anything? Do we owe that force anything? And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, is a dain. And a deen is from dain. It's a debt. And our debt is the religion. And He is akram. He's not giving it to us in order for us to pay Him back. It's in order for us to be well. Because if you're constantly be giving blessings and you're in a state of ingratitude, those blessings are of no benefit to you. And they'll make you miserable. The only way you can really enjoy your blessings is actually to be in a state of gratitude. And so Allah has given you this deen, not because He needs it, because we need to be here standing in prayer, listening to the words of Allah, because Allah, it increases His dominion 1 iota. It makes Allah greater than He actually is. It does anything for Allah. It makes Allah proud of His creation. It makes Allah, no, none of those reasons. We need this. Allah has given it to us because we need it. And the more grateful we are, the better we are. The better our state is. The healthier we are. The more of an impact we will have in the world. People that are in a state of gratitude, you want to be around them. People that complain, you don't want to be around them. People that are always complaining, nobody likes to be around them.